It's
All right, we're just about to start getting the setup going. And also because I did this last time, I'm going to actually put this on Prosperity to record this on my computer in case this thing goes off.
Oh no.
You know, I've had this happen on the last live stream that I did many years ago. So
I'll adjust what I was going to say now.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see if we can get things going. See.
Ian,
I get the left.
Did you write the Puppets Court?
No, I can tell you who did.
Oh.
I know all 40 episodes of the second season. Who wrote the Puppets Court? Let's see. Puppets Court was written by Bill Kelly.
Well, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Which one did you write? Which ones?
10. I wrote 10 of them, man.
Oh my God.
Zip's Rebellion, which became something else in the thing. That was my big deal of why is Zip getting hit on the head? I don't understand it, and he has nothing to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
No Time to Talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Louis L'Amour, where Louis falls in love with Dolly.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Louis Citizenship.
That was a beautiful one.
Which I don't think we could do nowadays. I don't know.
Right. That was beautiful. And especially with the writing and the art department did a beautiful job in that.
Yeah. Well, kind of the nice thing about season 2 and where I thought we were going to go was that we could start really sort of delving into the, history of what was going on, and that could sort of catapult it into further places. So it was fun.
I put a stop to that quick.
Yeah, for goodness sake.
More shtick, enough of the other stuff. Right with Ryan. Absolutely.
So yeah, it's 10. Scott wrote 10. I wrote 10. Chris, I think, wrote 3, right?
I wrote 3, but I don't remember. I only remember Weinerville. I really don't remember the other 2 that I wrote.
I could tell you.
Yeah, I'd love to. I was trying to remember. I was looking through all the episodes. I was like, maybe I wrote that one.
You wrote The Player.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds right. Maybe.
Election Day.
Oh, good one. Good.
Okay. Yeah,
I only
remember.
No, that was Scott. There Goes the Neighborhood.
Bill Kelly.
I only remember Weinerville because that was just really fun, making it in Spanish and being sued by them. I thought that was a really fun episode to write.
Well, that was the fun thing about starting to get into the fact that recognizing that it was a show within a show.
Oh yeah.
That was the when we started to be able to break the fourth wall and sort of, kind of quasi acknowledge that Mark was quietly and don't tell anybody playing the other parts. That's when we could really sort of get into some fun stuff, and then
was that him?
Had some fun with it too. Anyway,
Patricia, did we?
That was 30 years.
I think that we're on. I think we're on live now. So
okay.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Patricia Miranda. I am the moderator of the Weinerville 30th Anniversary Virtual Reunion live stream. And with us here are the people who worked on the show these many years ago. And I'm just going to introduce you guys right now. So we have the creator of Weinerville himself. We have Marc Weiner. So welcome.
Thank you.
And alongside with him is his son, Max.
Hello.
And let's bring in some of the people who are behind Weinerville itself. So we have Ian Toporoff, who was one of the writers. And also we have a lot of people who were involved with the writing. So we have Wally Feresten. So welcome, Wally.
Thank you. Yeah.
And another person who was also involved in the writing. Let's see. I'm gonna try to pronounce your name, Michael. So it's Michael Szuflita.
Right. Good.
Okay, there you go. I did it.
I don't even get it right all the time. So okay.
Well, welcome, Mark, and also with Michael, being the writer as well. I'm gonna also bring in another person who was involved with the other stuff. So with the art department, we have Diane Stapleton, and we have Lynn Whipple. And we have the audio designer. We have Mark Schultz. All right. So once again, thank you so much for coming on by. We have many questions that we're going to be talking throughout the live stream. So yeah, I guess right before we begin, I just want to know for all of you guys. So, how did you get mixed up into being a part of Weinerville itself? Like, how did you get called in to work on the show?
How did you get called in to work on the show? I'll start. I'll go ahead.
Go for it.
I at the time, honestly, had started off as an assistant director, working in films. I'd worked on The Abyss and a lot of low budget things like Bride of Reanimator, and The Punisher with Dolph Lundgren. And I was realizing that if I stayed in film, I would not be able to have a family. So I shifted to TV and became a stage manager. And at the time, everybody was saying that all of production was going to go to Orlando. So I wrote Nickelodeon a letter saying, could you please consider me for stage managing? And I got a really nice letter back saying, no. But if you want to move to Orlando, we might consider it. But we're not going to just hire you out the gate. And I always remember that letter. And it was from Kevin Kay, who was an executive at Weinerville. And then, oddly enough, my sister started working there, coming from children's television. Yeah. And so I went in one day just to say hi and thank him for writing me this amazing rejection letter. And he said, have you ever written anything? And I said, oddly enough, yeah, I've been writing some jokes for the Tonight Show, because at that point you could just sort of send them in. And Kevin, who was the cue card boy from Letterman, who I'll never forget that part, said, yeah, I used to do, I was like, I know. And he said, well, why don't you try doing some of this? And I was on vacation. I had no time for it. So I took a day and I wrote a script about Weinerville not having any time to do anything. And they liked it. And I went, oh, okay, can you do another one? And I went, oh, okay. And then I looked at this character, Zip, and I thought, why does he keep getting hit on the head and he never says anything? And so maybe he has this epiphany and starts to go, I shouldn't be getting hit like this. And I wrote the episode where Zip says that's enough and he leaves, and then he finds out there's no place like Weinerville. And that's literally how I got roped into this thing. It was totally by chance. There was never anything sort of planned about it or close to, oh, this is what I should be doing. That's how I got roped in.
Thanks for writing those episodes about me. Thanks.
No problem, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'd like to know for the rest of you guys, how did you get roped into Weinerville? So Michael, why don't we have you share your story?
Sure. It's like 1992, and I was at doing a stand-up class at the New School, be a stand-up comic. And one of the other comics there said, hey, they're going to be doing a trial or whatever for a show called That's Not Fair, starring Marc Weiner, who I'd never heard of. Mark, do you remember that?
Yeah. What
Yeah.
show, or you not remembering who?
But it was kind of a gaggy, whatever kind of Jeopardy thing where no matter what the answer was, it would be the wrong answer. So it would be, what's this? Dun 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 dun. Would be, oh, Mary Had a Little Lamb. It says, no, you're wrong. It's the alphabet song. So no matter what it would be wrong. But I thought I could write that kind of thing. And I met Marvin Silbermintz right after that. And I said, I think that way a lot. And he said, well, send some stuff over. And the next day I sent 100 jokes and he liked it. And then later said that the show had been, wasn't going to be picked up because it was confusing. Like Weinerville is not confusing. And then I met Mark or whatever. And we kind of hit it off, and I wrote some kind of jokes for him. And he mentioned that this new show, Weinerville, was coming around and asked me to be on board with it. When I was thrilled. Thank you for that, Mark.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia, for doing this too.
Oh, thank you. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah. And yeah.
We actually have somebody who came in a little bit
Oh, here
later.
he is
So
now.
yeah, Marvin is here. So Marvin Silbermintz. So welcome to the live stream.
Oh, hello. I feel
Hello.
like I'm in Weinerville.
Hello, Marvin.
So happy head, Mark. Oh my goodness. Happy Purim, Hanukkah, Pesach.
That's a new one on me, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we-
sure was a little Jewish.
Gotcha.
We
Well,
have to try not to make it too Jewish.
No. The more the better. That's what I say. So yeah, I just want to thank you so much for coming on by. I know that you're probably busy with a whole bunch of other things, but I just wanted to give you my gratitude.
Oh yeah, I fit you into my busy schedule. Like every other 72-year-old comedy writer. I'm swamped with work. I'm afraid to open the door. The work will crush me.
Yeah. So we were just sharing stories about how everybody got involved with Weinerville. So Michael just finished his. So Wally, if you want to share your story.
Yeah, well, I just started working for Kevin K at you guys hear me okay?
Yep. Here you go. Good.
Yeah,
You're good to go.
I just started working for Kevin K at Saturday Night Live doing cue cards with him. And I was writing jokes for Norm Macdonald. And Kevin knew I wanted to write. I went to school for writing. And it was actually, so he brought me over and I met Mark and they hired me to write freelance one episode. And I was thrilled because it was my first official writing job out of college. I was very excited.
Wow.
Yeah, I was very, very excited. And then they liked the first episode so much they hired me for 2 more. And like I said, I don't remember those other 2. I remember writing one of them, but it was so long ago. And so many things have happened since then. But really, truly, it was my first writing job, and it helped me get other writing jobs. So, Mark, I got to thank you for that. It helped me get a lot of other writing stuff when I was early on. But I really appreciate it. You basically gave me my big break. You and Kevin gave me my first big break in the business. So I really appreciate it.
That's
33
awesome.
years later, I'm still doing.
Thank you.
That's
Still
great,
doing,
Wally.
still doing cue cards. But now I'm on TV with Seth Meyers and doing stuff with Seth Meyers and having a lot of fun.
That's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So all right. So I think that
Wow.
I guess I'm gonna wrap up with the writers right before we go over to the other people.
Wally,
So-
are you Wally the cue card guy?
Yes.
Oh,
It's a thrill to meet you, Wally. Been watching
Yes, I was-
all the time.
it's a thrill to meet
Thanks
you.
so much.
He's got
Yeah.
speaking parts.
I mean, yeah, I was Chris when I was on the show because I wanted to keep my legal name, but now Wally's Wally. I'm Wally. 33 years later, I've turned into this crazy cartoonish character, if you will. You know, that is an idiot. It's Seth, but
Just the
I'm
way
having a lot of
Kevin
fun
K
with it.
was.
I'm having a lot of fun.
Just
Exactly.
the way Kevin K
Exactly.
was. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I try to
Yeah,
find
yeah.
Kevin on like an official website or something to like message him, but
Easily.
I couldn't find him, sadly.
He's
But
good
yeah,
friends with my brother. I should have reached out. I should have reached out to him. He's good friends with my brother now, but he owns a big production company, I think now. So he's
okay. Okay.
living his second life out. Living his second life with his second family out in LA. You guys know, how that goes.
Sure.
Especially in LA.
All right. I want to wrap up with the writers right before we go over to the art people and the audio people. So Marvin, why don't you share about how you got your start with Weinerville?
Me, I was minding my own business. I was writing for Jay Leno because I sent him letters. I sent him jokes and he liked them. And I couldn't believe it. I didn't know him. I didn't know anything. I didn't have any experience
Mhm.
except doing my own magic shows. And
No.
and I would watch TV like the Tonight Show and I'd write down the jokes. And I still find these cards with the jokes written down. And I watch old Abbott and Costello movies and write down the jokes. And Mark knows I have a tendency to resurrect old jokes. And we met Mark because we were part of the Orthodox Jewish community.
Mhm.
And where he was, yes, bless you, my son. So, and he was a star. And then people connected us. And
Tell him what character you created.
Boney.
Oh,
Well, there he
Oh,
is.
did you?
Hey, hey,
Barney,
The best one.
Yes.
Barney the dinosaur.
Oh yeah. Hey,
was very sweet. In fact, the critics said at least it's a sweet show for kids with Barney. But my son Yehuda, we bought our Barney raincoat, and he wouldn't wear it to school. He said the kids will make fun of me in his class, and he was only about 5. And I said, "Gee," and I thought the 5 kids were innocent, but they were too cynical, even at 5. The MTV generation, they were so cynical. Imagine they didn't accept Barney, I love you, you love me. And then I said, "Oh, gee, there must be an anti-Barney." And then the name Boney came, Boney the dinosaur. Yeah.
And then Marvin,
Do you remember we were visited by, I think it was Ken Ober, and we said, "Oh, we're excited about the show." I don't know if you remember this, Mark.
I don't remember anything. Who are you?
I remember this morning I had, I don't remember what I had for breakfast. And he was a host of Remote Control, and he said, "Oh, no, guys, it's not till the 3rd or 4th year that you start to make money, because they're still taking a chance on you until then. And as far as merchandising, anything like that, it has to last at least 3 or 4 years." And anyhow, Nickelodeon and Ha were 2 different stations, and then Comedy Central, it was 3 stations.
right.
They joined up, yeah. And Comedy Central, now I'm digressing. The big hit was Jon Stewart hosting a report on the presidential State of the Union. And they actually got ratings that the other networks noticed. And that was a big breakthrough for them. And that was only one night a year when the president of the State of the Union. But then it developed into his, what do they call it? The late, I don't even remember. What is Jon Stewart's show called?
Daily Show.
The Daily Show, yeah.
Daily Show.
I gotta watch more TV.
Well, he doesn't do it anymore. I think it's Trevor Noah who does it now.
Oh, yes.
And not even him anymore, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They switch it up every few years.
So it was the beginning of that. But there was nothing, I'll just take a few seconds to say, there was nothing as so alive as Weinerville. It had that soupy sales feeling that someone was inviting you into his home, into this room, and he was a little crazy, but he was so much fun to be with, and he had all these toys around, and he was just going to have fun with you. And that way, it wasn't even a show. It was like, it really was Mark's Playhouse. And there's nothing like that today. There's no live show like that today. I don't think so.
Yeah, especially since there's been a lot of things happening. I mean, you guys even mentioned earlier the writer strike, and then of course there might be like several factors. But yeah, for the most part, you would see this stuff maybe online, but not like on a live studio audience where people can just gather together and just watch it. Yeah, you're right.
And that feeling that anything can happen. I also want to say that Mark did the first trans character in a kid's show. It was before Drag Queen Story Hour.
There it is.
Way ahead of his time.
Oh my God. Good to see you. Good to see you. What, Daddy? Oh, let's get out of here.
God. You see, there's nothing this much fun. Everything is pre-planned, and a lot of it refers to other things that are popular and not original. Anyhow, okay.
Well, thank you for being part of the show.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I was only a part. It was very exciting. It was.
And the band is playing.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
What's
Cocktail
up?
Frank
What's
and the Weenies. Yes. So
Okay, so-
I want to get into the other people right before we go over to some more questions. And we actually, I'm going to check on them for those who are watching on the live stream. If you have any questions to ask for any of the cast and crew, then post it on the chat and I will ask them. So yeah, for
just don't answer the question from Justin.
Okay, sure. Justin, your band. All right. So Diane, how did you get involved with Weinerville?
Well, I came to Florida from New York theater.
Mhm.
and then got hired at Universal while the first version of the park was being built. And then ended up through all of that at Nickelodeon. And then I was there were 3 art directors that worked freelance there pretty much. And I got to be one of them. And so when Weinerville came up, you would be a good fit for Weinerville. So I take that as a complete compliment. So, and that's pretty much it.
All right. And Lynn, how about you?
Thank you, Diane. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks. Welcome. I had been working on all the shows at Nickelodeon. It had not been around that long. I grew up in Orlando. It was very exciting to get to work out there. And when this show came up, I was like, this is going to be so much fun. So we were just thrilled to even be asked to be on it. I was just props, the prop department. And Mark,
Props.
yay, props. And Mark had such a gift. I mean, he already had everything figured out, all the characters, everything. So we would just try and emulate the little stuff, but really it was your baby, Mark. It was your vision.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Thank you for all your help.
Yeah, we had some fun.
Department.
Mark,
Thanks.
Mark, I seem to remember too, you were doing that in the clubs in New York. And you had to change like Rocco to Sacco and it had to be Nickelodeon's Weinerville for copyright reasons. Is that right?
No, different characters.
Okay.
Rocco, Sacco was Rocco's nephew.
Oh,
Says with
Okay.
that great face. Like
these are real things.
yeah, right.
All right. And Mark, how did you get involved with Mark Schultz? So how did you
Oh,
get involved?
okay.
Well, I was a music recording engineer and a television sound mixer in New York working for MTV Networks before Nickelodeon came to Orlando. And my first show with the network was Double Dare in 1988. And I worked on all the different game shows. And when Universal Studios opened and Nickelodeon took a lease there, I came on board as the sound designer and mixer for all the shows that were made there between the opening in 1990 and when I left in 96. So Weinerville kind of walked right into my lap. And it was such a joy to work on. It was so much fun and so creative and so utterly original. And I think the real thrill of it was working with Mark to try to figure out how to do it live in front of an audience, because he was voicing multiple characters at one time. And we had to figure out a way to record and deftly play in a live format all the different voices he was doing. And all the voices of the little guys who were voiced by Mark were actually played by me with my fingers on a keyboard. And we would record them at the last possible second right before going on air. Just record all the zip lines and all the other little characters, and I'd map them out on a keyboard and have my script and play along. So
Wow, it's awesome.
Yeah. That's
yeah,
pretty great.
real great memories of the show.
Thank
from
you.
start to finish.
That was in the beginning, but then then Scott Fellows played Zip, and then
True.
Ray played Pop Louie, and then so then we started spreading out the characters.
Right, we had to have multiple microphones, but I'm sure you remember doing that. We had a little microphone for you, and right before we would go to air, you'd jump over there, and I'd capture all your different lines. I'd map them out on my keys and write down which cue it was and all that stuff. And we did quite a lot of sound effects work on that show too. There was a lot of homework before every episode, and there was a fellow working with me named Scott Jordan, a young guy who's still lives in Orlando, plays guitar and plays out as a performing musician, Scotty Jordan, and he was my sidekick, and we'd sit there and just pore over the scripts and find all the different sound effects that we needed, whether Zip was getting thrown down a garbage disposal or tossed out a window or caught in a ceiling fan or whatever it might be.
Right.
All those different sound effects. Very
it is
Three
amazing.
Stooges.
Yep. Thank you for all your help, man. Great work.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I'm just going to pull out some questions from the chat. One is actually from my fiance. He asked, did Weinerville ever air internationally? Greetings from the United Kingdom.
No, no. Maybe.
I think it might have, very briefly.
Okay.
I think
They definitely had Nickelodeon in many different continents at that time period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know for a fact several other countries. Nick Germany was a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the answer is maybe. All right. So yeah, I like to also know some other stories like the writing process. Ian, you were just bringing this up earlier about like the writing process of like an episode of Weinerville. So I like to know with you and all the other writers of like that spontaneity, that process of just creating like one episode about what the plot points were going to be about, and especially when integrating the cartoons into each and every single act.
So that's interesting because honestly, we didn't know what cartoons were going to be added to them. It seemed to be whatever they had in their bag of tricks was going to wind up being the cartoons there.
We hated the cartoons.
Yeah.
We didn't want
Less time for you, right?
But that's sort of where we were trying to go with the second season. I mean, all my experiences from second season, I was not there for the first season, but we were very challenged because we had 40 episodes that we had to do for the second season and had about a month and a half to come up with them, which is another reason why we called on Wally and we called on Al Higgins, who went out and started doing real big stuff. There were a lot of writers that we entertained to just come up conceptually with what these scripts were. And the second season, the push was to take the characters a little farther, to learn a little bit more of the lore of the characters and find out who they were, but still keep it sticky and funny and moving, which was a really difficult thing when you're trying to do 40 half hours in a month and a half. So it started all with just coming up with a really good idea. And if people were able to come up with a good idea, we'd go, okay, that's episode 1. What's episode 2? And you kept just going and going and going, and then figuring out which characters do we integrate? Are we spreading it out enough? Have we had a Boney segment lately? Have we had a Captain Ozone, who I loved, segment, and try to integrate all these things into it. And then what eventually happened was the offices moved from New York down to Orlando with production, and we sort of fleshed everything out. It was myself, Ray, Scott Fellows, Bill stayed in New York. He did not come down to Orlando. And Maureen Costello, who was our writer's assistant, who then eventually wound up writing with us too. We and Scott and Mark and Mark's wife all sort of got together and started to just flesh all these ideas out and try to put them in final form. And the difficult thing was, and mind you, it was difficult from a technical standpoint for every department. Comedy is really hard on an art department.
Yeah.
You have to develop things that don't exist. And a lot of what we were writing probably would have been great in cartoon form, and then they had to come up with an actual physical prop for that. From a sound department, really difficult because the amount of sound that you're mixing in is tremendous. From an acting standpoint, Mark was doing punchlines on jokes that he had recorded the month prior as the setup. From a technical standpoint, this thing was tremendously difficult, but we locked in the scripts, sort of just went with it, and then just started taping. And then once you were locked in, that was it. So it was very much a committee, but it was, I mean, I wound up doing 10 episodes. Scott Fellows did 10 episodes that year. It was really just pumping out as much material as we possibly could, and then just trying to punch it up as much as we could before you started taping those first Dottie segments. And then you kind of have to just trust, which is unlike a lot of sitcom stuff where you write and then an audience comes in, gives you a reaction, and you go, okay, well, let's change this up. Sometimes you couldn't change things up because you had pre-taped the punchline a month ago and you had to lead into it and you had to just go with it. So those were the challenges of writing that much material in that short amount of time.
And Ian, that second season was a lot better than the process of the first year.
Okay.
I think I'm the only one here that was in that here, but it was just kind of flying by the seat of your pants. You know, Mark would say, we need a joke word, you know, Zip is on a ski lift, write that. And so it was a completely different set of writers. Bill Shine and Judy Weiner were on then, and Ray Abruzzo. But it was, yeah, it's interesting because I didn't know what was going on behind the scenes for the second season. And that sounds intense, and it was really well done. So good for you that way.
Thank you. It was, we had a good lead in. You knew exactly what it was, which was the easiest part of it. There was no question what was going to work and what was not going to work. It had been established very strong, and we were just trying to take it so that it could keep going.
I have to give major kudos for all the people involving with the writing room, because when you watch a final product of something like Weinerville, where it's like all over the place, people just think, oh, they just didn't really take that much time to do it because it's just like, oh, it's just random and it's all over, just like scattered and all that kind of stuff. But no, it's actually much more methodical with the process than most people would even imagine. As somebody, I work for a production company actually, and I've done a lot of like filming and editing and behind the scenes stuff for many years. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in journalism, so I'm familiar with this stuff more now. And I trust me, when people say that, oh, this stuff just feels like it's not organized properly, but you just have to realize about just how much of it is crucially detailed with how everything is structured. And it's something as Weinerville, where it's supposed to be like funny and lighthearted and a take on 50s and 60s variety shows for children. I can see that this stuff is not easy. It's like you have to do something like on the spot, and you're like, okay, I have this amount of time to write something really quick, and it has to be funny. It's something that kids are watching because they're watching this live. I'm sure that the reactions of the kids watching this and they're laughing has to be genuine. It's not like recorded pre-existing laugh tracks. So
let's ask Mark.
Yeah, please, Mark.
Yeah, very true, because a number of Nickelodeon shows were not filmed in front of a live audience, and we did have to add reactions and things like that, and that was a big part of my work. I want to ask, who wrote the Spell Schwarzenegger gag? And if I could roll in a clip, that's the clip I would roll in right now.
That was from the one segment, I think second season that we did, where we did that original show, which was It's Not Fair, which was the game show.
Right.
And
yeah, set that up so people know what we're talking about. That was very funny.
Essentially, the game show that we were talking about earlier, where the kid always won no matter what, and no matter what the parent answered, it was wrong.
Yeah. Marvin or Michael write that joke?
No, I think, didn't Mark have that in his act?
That was in my act, but didn't you write that for me?
Oh, I'll take credit for it. No,
I think you did.
I'm going to take credit for it. I'm taking credit.
I was so impressed by it.
So essentially, it was an impossible question given to the parent.
Right. So the parent was asked to. It led in with a question that was really easy to answer, which was like, "Who said I'll be back?" And so the answer would come, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then immediately Mark would hit him with, now spell it.
Right.
Right.
I'll tell you briefly.
But how did it finish, Mark?
The idea. They used to sell quiz cards for magicians, and the cards were picked randomly, but it was fixed, and you would get a child and an adult, a father and son up, and then somehow the adult would be picking at random the hard questions, and the kid would get the easy questions. It was sold in magic shops.
I think you did that joke, Marvin.
What?
But you guys, so the payoff was Mark had a little scroll, right? Do you want to describe it to the audience? Yeah, go ahead, tell it.
Okay, so right in front of the puppet set was the scroll, and the adult is sitting right there, and he has no clue how to spell it. And I go, the audience knows how to spell it, and I'm scrolling right across there, and they're going,
the whole audience spelled it off the scroll.
Right.
Great sight gag.
Yeah.
And
If somebody were to ask you about like how to spell a complicated last name or first name, they'll be like, "Oh, the traditional way."
That's right.
Yeah.
that's the type of stuff that Marvin and Michael added. That they're the shticksters, you know.
Extra.
Well, there was more shtick per minute in Weinerville than any other
Right.
show on the network, I gotta tell you.
You know, and Ian and Wally and and Ray, they brought the
Actual stories to it.
the stories and the intellectual stuff.
Although I have to say, we were very mindful of the shtick. Like,
Thank you.
Captain Ozone, I kept very shticky.
Yeah.
And at the same time, trying to expand break the fourth wall, but also dual layer it. So there was a joke that would hit that the kids would get from a visual standpoint that would be funny, but there would be an actual word joke that the parents would get.
Right.
Mhm.
So it's working on two levels, which was tough. It was
Yeah,
tough.
those are the ones where we added the laugh in post, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think on my income tax term, my name is Jokemeister. That was given to me by Neil from the first year.
Nice.
It was the first producer.
Yeah, right.
Now, I want to know about the architecture and just the design of it. So for Diane and Lynn, all the props that you had to work with for the show, as well as like the backgrounds itself. So what was the process of that? Like, who was like the main like idea of like what Weinerville looked like? Mark. Okay.
I feel like the set came down in these boxes, and then it just appeared, it like unfolded in like a huge pop-up book or something. I remember one of my favorite stories because I was just in the first season. We moved to Cincinnati after the first season.
Okay.
And we had this, Mark needed this mountain of popcorn, and it had to be kosher, and we couldn't find pre-pop anywhere.
Wow.
We're going, so we end up at all these grocery stores picking up unpopped popcorn and trying to, it was a lot of popcorn, right, Mark?
Yes.
And finally, you just threw up your hands and whatever, and just go buy bags of popcorn and it's okay. So that was a good one. And then I'm looking at those little hot dog awards, Weinerville awards behind you.
Right.
And I think I have mine in packed away in a box somewhere.
Did you design that? Who designed it?
I think it was one of my prop people. And I think it might have been Beto Brown, but I'm not sure about that. But yeah, it's cute. It's really cute and funny. So yeah, but everything kind of, it was like we just kept it consistent as far as the props went. And if there was like a little extra piece of added scenery, just that was called for in the writing, then we made that.
And you guys, it was like David, Wavy Davy would say it was low tech, and that's like what I sent down to Nickelodeon was this picture of what I thought Weinerville should look like. And then you guys created this massive TV set.
Made it, yeah. And it was massive too. And then because, you were doing the puppet's arms and legs, so it had to accommodate you.
Right.
So yeah, it was fun. It was crazy. And it was a challenge.
I still have Dottie's original set in my basement.
Really? Oh, wow.
And Pops and Louie's diner and cleaner.
Yeah.
Second season.
Yeah.
I think, Mark, this is something that I would love for you to do sometime in the future is I would love to see you, maybe like have, some like a museum borrow it for a short amount of time and have it displayed. Like many years ago, I went to the Museum of modern art, MoMA in New York City, and they had 100 years of toys and entertainment, and they actually had this huge display of Pee-wee's Playhouse. They had the door, they had the clock, and they had like clips of the show. And I think that you should do it for Weinerville, like call a museum or somebody like that and show them like actual props of the show. That way people can actually see all the work that yourself and Diane and Lynn and everybody who was a part of like meticulously crafting it would be able to gain it with it.
Well,
I think that
we actually have a museum. You know, Max usually runs it downstairs. You'll have to get back down there and run it. There's a couple of kids from the neighborhood who want to get
No, it's
in.
closed.
Oh,
It's closed today.
Yeah.
Oh, it's closed.
okay, yeah, okay. Well, well, next time I'm around the area, I'll definitely have to take a look into it. But yeah, speaking of which, yeah, Lynn, why don't you share your stories about dealing with all the props and all the stuff for the show?
We just loved it because it was lowbrow. It was fun. There was a lot of cardboard, a lot of, just glue, hot glue, stuff like that. I remember Zip was my favorite because he always had to be like sort of thrown through the scene, and we had to have all these different zips, and we would, fashion up that. He cracked me up, and we'd have to make them go along with what, like, he would be electrocuted. So we'd have to make him electrocuted. And we would just have so much fun with all the zips. And of course, Mark would, say yay or nay or change the hair a tiny bit or whatever. But that was so much fun. I mean, he would come in from the side, the back, the up, the down, woo, he'd just be thrown through the middle of the whole thing. And it was just a blast.
Remember, we had the Zip It?
Zip It. Remind me.
The Zip It. We, at our 100th episode, at Nickelodeon, they made part of the tour, set. It was like a museum, and we called it all, and we had all the zips lined up, and we called it an Zip It.
Zip It. Oh, of course. Zip It. Yeah, got it. I don't remember. I don't know that I ever saw the actual tour, which is terrible to know. There were so many zips, though.
It was so long ago.
So many zips. My gosh. And they were just like wire, right? They were just sort of wire under there so they could move.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, so I would also love, like just a day of shooting, like how many episodes of Weinerville did you shoot a day? Like usually when it comes to like, game shows or something like that, they would say like, oh, we shot like maybe like 4 or 5, in concession. So how many episodes did you shoot a day?
3 to 4 a day.
Oh, wow. And was this like this was like every single time that you would shoot an episode, I'm sure you have to like clean up everything, like all the slime that you dump on the kids during when they were getting wienerized, and if there's like any splashes of water with Captain Bob or anything like that. So I'm sure that, I'm sure that, probably you have to like, have the consistent energy of having to have like those episodes shooting in like sessions,
Yeah. So if you look behind me, second season Playland. That's
right. That is second season Playland.
And it still smells 30 years later. Can't get rid of the smell. This is my recording booth for, I do Dora the Explorer now. So I needed to make a soundproof booth. And so I had these flats and I put it up there and we're like, man, something smells bad.
That's that good patina.
Oh, yeah. So that's right there. That's the front of the Playland.
Wow. I'm surprised that this stuff is still like standing pretty decently after over 30 years, because you would think like, like some certain materials would kind of like fade or would kind of get shriveled up over time. But no, this stuff still looks pretty good.
We might have, but it's not.
Cardboard is very resilient once you put a coat of paint on it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. You bet it is. Just look it, and I still have the same figure I did as I do now as I did. Look. Ooh, yeah.
Oh my god.
So I like to know, like, some of your favorite moments of, Weinerville itself, like some of your favorite, you were just talking about episodes earlier about all the stuff that you ever written, but any like particular moments or characters that you still think are some of your favorites? Like some of my favorites, I mean, Dottie was one of my favorites, and so was Boney and Sacco. And I also really enjoyed any episodes that have just Dottie and Zip together, just going all over the place. And the Weinerville specials were also the ones where you got to see a lot more of the characters. There was the New Year special, the Hanukkah special, and the Election Day special. So anytime that you got to see more of the characters just interacting with each other were always a lot of fun.
Thank you.
So yeah, anybody want to share about any like particular moments or characters that they enjoyed?
As Mark said, we were the story people. I loved the lore of Captain Ozone.
Oh yeah.
This guy who the space program had just forgotten about.
That's right. Thank you, Ian.
And just that whole interaction of how insane that I actually would think, how insane would this person be if they were literally up in this tank and, lost for years?
Little cuckoo, we do.
Little cuckoo.
Thank God Wilson's here, Wilson.
I'm keeping him in check, Commander.
Oh,
Oh, thank you.
It's pretty good.
Good stuff. I loved writing for Boney.
Yeah.
That was fun stuff, and those were the characters, and Dottie was a slam dunk every time. The Dottie and Zip relationship was just
I really enjoyed
a joy.
that. Yeah.
It's just Mark writing for that Mark. We have that
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah.
what a pain in the neck it was.
Honestly.
And anybody else want to share?
I also love that we were able to add characters to it in the second season. I loved introducing Kevin LMNOP.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he only appeared in a few episodes. Yeah.
Who, if you can figure out who that was.
Yeah, right.
And just being able to expand the world a little bit was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I remember it was my first writing room, being a part of a writing room, and I just remember it was very supportive and never, oh, that sucks. Don't do something like that. It was always very supportive and very like, make it crazier, make it wackier, and that was just a joy to work with. It was really, really fun to work with. I really liked the experience.
Yeah.
I think that's the same spirit we had. I think that's the same spirit we all had on set too. Pretty much anybody who was set foot on that set could have just said what you said, Wally.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, I definitely do feel that sense of just camaraderie from everybody, where they just essentially had a great time doing all this stuff together. And I thought that was, just you could definitely see it on the screen that everybody enjoyed themselves when you see the final product.
I'd just like to say that I always was so confident in every department. They were just so wonderful, whether it was the writing staff, whether it was the prop and the art department or the audio department, the editing, I just total confidence in all you guys. And I just appreciated all the hard work that you did. So thank you.
Nicely said. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want you to know that before I die.
It was
I'm in charge, finally. Oh, yeah. Hello, Max.
it was
Mark, if you,
thrilling
I was going to
seeing
ask
the
Mark a
final
question.
product.
I'm sorry, I'll back off.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask Mark, from the launch into the first season, when did you realize that it was catching on? We do 3-4 shows a day, but that's 3 or 4 different audiences, a different audience for every show. When did you realize that it was happening, that people liked it?
Well, so first of all, I'm so thankful for the short amount of time that what you just said happened. So it was the fact that they put it on 4 episodes on Sunday. You know, they put a 2-hour block for showing 4 episodes, and it went pretty well for the first. You know, David Jordan's here.
Hey,
Hey.
how are you?
Baby.
Much
Wavy.
love. Hey, hey, pretty face.
Come on, let's
Thank
see
you.
your face.
Thank
Let's
you
see
so
your
much.
Oh, there's
face.
another pretty face.
Yeah,
Wait,
well,
get on, let's see your face.
Yeah.
Let's see Wavy Davy.
What did I
Can pull you
do?
up for a camera?
if you what you do is that there's on the bottom of the screen, there's a camera down there. You just click on. There you go.
Oh!
Hey,
I make things with my hand, not technology.
That's okay, no problem. Anyway, so Mark,
Wait.
continue with your story.
No. Let Dave talk to people.
No,
Ask Dave.
no,
yeah,
no,
sure.
no. I'll slide in.
Slide.
All right.
Start sliding. Patty,
All right.
ask him questions.
Okay, yeah, sure. So David,
Hi.
you were one of the many people involved with the show. You worked with props. You did a lot of writing.
Puppet
so
master.
yeah,
Puppet
he was,
master.
and he was also the puppet master too. So yeah, why don't you talk about you know, your process of doing all the work in Weinerville? How did you first get started working on the show?
Oh, well, you know what? I committed myself to being an artist and went out to LA for a long time. I had a pretty good run out there. I did Pee-wee's Playhouse and what have you on there. So I got puppet coordinator on that.
Oh, nice.
Came back to Orlando to be with some family, and Nickelodeon was popping, you know, and I got on that train. So a couple of shows in, Weinerville popped up, and boy, did I fall in love with that. It, you know, it had you know, the sort of streety art edge that I loved, the lo-fi sensibilities that I love, and I don't know, I just fell in love with all that was Weinerville. Mark's sensibility, teamed up with Lynn and Sam Bagarella, all those. What an art time for me. I don't know. Does that answer it?
Yeah, it answers this pretty well. Yeah.
Wow.
And now tell us about, you know, when the type of work that you did while you were over there. Like you were the puppet master, but which ones?
Well, so yeah, I have inclinations towards puppets, and I apologize profusely.
Okay, so yeah, he's showing off Boney. So you did Boney. So you were the main
yeah,
puppet master
yeah,
of Boney.
yeah,
that's great.
Marvin created it, and then David created it.
yeah. We made a wonderful collaboration there, Mark. The old Boney. That's what an interesting challenging it was, and I think it was a pretty quick, almost, it felt like almost overnight thing. It's like, could we have this really quick? And we did, and now I think he's made a couple of kids laugh in his days. So yeah, you know, they were imaginatively coming up with all kinds of stuff out of the writer's room, and Lynn and all of us, we just kept saying yes.
Right.
Now I'm actually curious, like going into like props and puppets. Was there any moments like during the filming of the show where it just went wrong?
Well, you know, I think I was telling on another thing where things are always going wrong in the art department. We were under a lot of pressure to make a lot of things really quickly, and you kind of knew when things were going to break. I think I was telling some other body about one prop, because we were in front of the live audiences and all, and you knew when things were kind of weak, whatever. So this one prop was out in front of the audience, and something came loose, and I knew it. And so I came from backstage running. As I ran, I grabbed my bottle of super glue, and as I went out to fix it, I just woofed it into my ear to make sure it wasn't clogged. Well, it blew a whole thing of super glue into my ear hole.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
geez.
When
Oh,
we fixed the problem and then went backstage. For the next week or so, I just kind of walked around with my finger in my ear. And
Ooh.
jeez. Oh, wow.
I'm
Hate when that
so-
happens.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry to hear that.
it's a common problem.
I've heard of sniffing glue, but not hearing it.
I'm a little different.
Anyway, speaking of Boney, now that we're on the subject, I want to give a major shout out to Manny Oramas, who's known as Humble Artsy on YouTube and on Instagram. He is the one responsible for putting together the Weinerville Wikipedia page, where all the information of Weinerville, such as like old articles like of God in Weinerville from 1995, written by the New York Times, and episodes that were once recorded on like VHS. He was able to like put together like episode synopses all together in like one place for people to locate. And he actually sent me some drawings that he wanted to share with all of you guys during the stream. So I'm just going to share it on right now. So we were just talking about Boney. So this is one that he drew. And this is a drawing of Boney that he drew himself.
Nice.
And I have another one.
Manny,
another-
our super fan, guys. He's keeping it alive. He creates sets and he does videos to honor the work that we did.
Yes,
You know,
he's
he-
been doing
he-
it for several years now.
He
Wow.
he made me weep. He actually made a Boney puppet too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of Boney puppets, I actually
oops.
have a picture of that right over here. And this is the set right over here.
Wow.
Look at it. He's building sets. It's great.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Oh, that's great.
I have another one, and this is Manny himself with Boney right here.
Ugh, it looks great.
Yeah.
Wow. The
Wow.
bone.
And finally, this is something that he actually showed me. I think it's a little preview of his next video to celebrate Weinerville's 30th anniversary this coming Tuesday. Is this one right here where he's playing as first and second.
Yeah. Commander, first and second.
Yeah,
First and second.
that's right.
Crazy.
So Manny, if you're watching this, thank you so much for sharing your fan art and your pictures with me so that I can share it with the cast and crew of the show.
We love you, Manny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also another thing I want to share with you is I asked some of my viewers if they wanted to do a 30-second shout out for you guys. And I received one video, so I'm just going to play it to you right now. So let me just pull it up really quick if I can be able to find it. Yeah, well, while I'm doing that, I just want to say again, if you have any questions to ask to anybody, if you have any like comments for anybody with whether it be like with Marc himself or anybody who was on the writing department or anybody who did sound or with props, then please let me know in the chat. But in the meanwhile, I'm just going to play off this video right now. A major shout out to Showmix2, who has been giving me several of my shout out videos for the past 4 years. I've done at least maybe 4 of these live streams where I broadcast and crew of people who worked on the show. And they've delivered it every single time. So again, Showmix2, thank you so much. So I'm just going to play the video right now. I'm just going to put up on the screen. So find it. Oh, here it is. Oh, hold on. I forgot to.
Dead air.
Hmm.
He doesn't really have a lot to say about it, does he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Shame.
Can't win them all.
Come on, writers, think of something. Oh, it's a writer's strike. Ray
It's a
was
writer's
right.
strike.
No.
Ray was right.
Ray was right.
Writer's strike, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, we lost Patricia. How about that?
Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
Ah, she's back.
I'm back. Yeah, sorry about that. Internet issues, but yep, I'm back, everybody. So, okay, so that was Shamix too. So again, thank you, Shamix, for the shout outs. Really do appreciate it. So yeah, I also want to give, a shout out to all the people who actually have been archiving this stuff on, Weinerville. There's a lot of people who have been using their old VHS tapes that they've actually stored, and they've been actually uploading this stuff on YouTube. There's Chris Bryant and even, as mentioned before, Manny, aka Humble RC, and various other people who actually been, putting this stuff on YouTube for people to watch, because it's unfortunate that you can't watch Weinerville on, Paramount Plus. And when, even with like the 90s or all that, or Nick Rewind, when they were starting to air like all the old Nickelodeon shows, I think that they aired Weinerville maybe like once or twice, but not a lot of it. And I don't know whether it was because maybe it was like a legal issue, or maybe maybe you weren't called for it, Mark. I'm not sure. Do you know the reason why that hasn't happened yet?
We'll go with what you said. That sounds...
that sounds better than the truth.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. And Mark Schultz had to go. So again, Mark, thank you. I really do appreciate you coming on by. But yeah, so can you give me the non-kosher reason?
No,
I don't know. What do you think? Maybe people just it's not as big of an audience as maybe.
You're no son of mine.
We had our time, and we're just letting other people have their time now.
Great answer. But no, I'm
all in God's hands.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, there you go. That's the reason why.
Yeah, it's not. God doesn't want us to have that time now. It's okay. We can argue with God, not me. Oh no.
Well, I can also tell you that, it would depend on restoration too. A lot of these older projects just, I know with certain shows, there was a point where I was working at NBC where they'd go into the archives to try to pull something. They'd pull the tape and they'd realize, oh, somebody taped over that.
Oh
yeah, that was it. That was it.
Yeah, we just
just to save on videotape, you'd erase some, show from the 50s and just use the tape over. So,
Wait a minute, Ian, I know the truth.
Okay.
Ray would not give us his permission. It's Ray's fault.
Really?
Ray was right.
Ray holding out. That's why we can't
Ray's
go
gonna
on.
give me $50 now, by the way.
Yeah, that's okay. All right. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Ray. But I always thought that maybe one of the reasons why was probably a legal issue, because a lot of the cartoons were from Colombia.
Right,
and
we couldn't get
they don't. Nickelodeon / Viacom doesn't own the rights to those cartoons anymore. I think it's Universal or something. So I thought maybe that was the reason. But then I was thinking, wait a minute, that can't be it, because I remember
that's it. That's it.
Well, Dottie, the reason.
Patricia, I've got to go. I've got to get ready for the 40th anniversary.
Okay. See you in 10 years.
I've got to go soon. So I got to go. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, but the reason why I was saying that was because when they did air that one time on Nick Rewind, they actually replaced it with a clip of I think it was an episode of Rugrats, and then I was thinking, okay, maybe that's how they're able to work around it, but then nothing happened. I don't know what happened.
That was it. The Rugrats complained. It was
okay.
Ray,
Yeah,
that's not the way it goes.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe you're right.
I've got to go. I've got to get ready for the 50th anniversary.
Okay. See you in 20 years.
Couldn't they just air it with the cartoons edited out of it? Because the cartoons are the worst part of it.
You'll never work
anyway.
again in this business.
Maybe they could have. I mean, if they did find like the old negatives of it. And that could have been a possibility. Like, we would just probably just have the cold open, and then you have the skits and all that kind of stuff. Maybe, I mean, that could be a possibility.
Maybe we just have to take the Taylor Swift approach. Do
Yes.
the remake
There you go. You remake it.
that are the
There you
Marc
go.
Weiner version. And
Mark could bring his
therefore, you don't have to
rollator.
worry about it.
Yes, there you go.
I'm gonna go do an open call for a Marc Weiner look-alike.
There you go. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have it's kind of like the five who is, and like the casting of like who's Marc Weiner, get me Marc Weiner, get me a Marc Weiner lookalike, get me a younger Marc Weiner, who's Marc Weiner. So
Max
we're
Weiner.
gonna go full circle with that one.
Max, yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna have Tom Hiddleston as Marc Weiner.
Yes, Max, we need you to shave.
Yeah. I'll wear a wig. I'll do it.
Okay.
All right. Okay, Diane. Thank you so much for coming on by. I really
It
do
was just
appreciate
great.
it.
I gotta say, I'm a huge fan of Wally, the cue card guy.
Yeah.
Hey!
I have to
Thank
keep
you very
talking.
much.
Oh,
Thank you,
I
guys.
can't wait. Before the writer's strike, my stepfather, who's 93, that's one of the things we do when we're together is watch Seth Meyers and look for Wally, the cue card guy.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, right before
That's so nice.
right before you go, I just want to be able to show off this picture right here of everybody. So I showed it to everybody right before we went live, but for those who are just joining us on the live stream, so this is a picture that Mark shared with us. This is the entire cast and crew from, you were telling me this was season 1. So let me just see if I can make it bigger right there. So yeah, if you guys can
That's
find
cool.
yourselves, then point it out. I mean, Mark is right over here. So if you see yourselves, let me know. I can point it out to everybody who's watching.
I would not be.
I
there.
know I'm in there, but I don't
Yeah, I
know.
would-
I don't remember what I look like then.
Fair enough. I mean, there's like several people in the back, and maybe somebody is back there. I'm not sure.
It's a
but-
good looking group of people, though.
Yeah, that's a lot of people there. Yeah.
And I love the T-shirt. I mean, the T-shirt with the
Byron
Oh,
signed it.
I'm on the down and right.
Around on the right around here.
That's it. Yeah.
Are you
David,
one with the hat, or are you one with the hat?
Yeah.
Oh, there
That's-
you are. Okay, so
that's
this is
it.
David
I
right
think
here.
this is me right here.
Which one is that?
This one down in front, right in the almost in the middle.
Like around here?
Yeah, this short hair person here.
Okay, so right here then.
Next,
okay.
next to the right. dark
Okay.
hair.
Okay, yeah. So it's around. Yeah, I can see you right there. Yeah, blonde hair, glasses. Yeah.
No, right next door.
Oh, this one right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
That's
That
you.
looks like
Okay.
Oh, good
wow.
funny face. Can you still do the funny face?
Yeah, and I very often do in most photographs people take of me.
Okay. Okay. So, Wally, do you see yourself in here?
I was not. I was never there for filming. I never
Oh,
got
you-
to
you're
it
okay.
I was in New York. I was
Gotcha.
in New York. Yep.
Wally,
Okay.
Wally was up with us.
Me too, yeah.
Okay. So, Ian, do you see yourself in there?
No, first season would not.
Oh,
have
yeah,
been
that's
there.
gotcha. How about you, Lynn? Do you see yourself?
I'm in the way back where all the little heads are in black.
Oh, okay.
That
Gotcha.
would probably be where I would be. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And you see all the way in the back with the American flag?
Yeah.
That building?
Yeah, right here.
Building right behind me.
Okay, gotcha.
Ah,
Yeah,
Nice.
that's it.
Oh,
I
that's
gotta get
cool.
a life. I gotta get a life. Okay. Wait a
All
minute.
right, but yes.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold it. I have
Pops.
I have
Oh.
I have a picture I want to show you guys that once you see it, you're not gonna be able to unsee it. Okay, here you go.
Wow.
Thank you.
Whoa.
Thank you so much, Pop. We're gonna
Oh,
get
nice.
demonetized.
Wonderful.
Davey, you remember making me? You remember
Whoa, whoa.
making me?
Oh, yeah, that was.
Yeah, I had no idea that there was an OnlyFans page for Weinerville.
It's only pans for pops.
Oh yeah.
Oh, if we're showing those kind of pictures, wait till you see the ones that I want
God,
to show
no,
you.
Donnie.
And here goes the live stream.
Okay, everybody. If we cut off
Bye-bye,
right now,
everybody.
then you'll know. Okay, bye, Diane. Thank you so
Bye
much.
bye.
Bye.
Bye, Dan.
Bye.
All right, so I got another question from the chat. If Weinerville came back today, what new ideas would you add, and what nostalgic ideas would you keep?
Oh, boy.
So if Mark's not going to talk,
Go ahead.
I think I was actually thinking that this question might be asked, and I think it's difficult because the kids' sensibilities are a little bit different right now.
Mhm.
So it'd be tough, but I think you would still keep the core vision of it, and you just have to sort of revamp, the way that we did it in certain instances, but it's tough. It's tough. It would have to move really, really fast at this point. I look at the Cartoon Network cartoons right now that my kids watch. It moves fast. So in general, I think in its format, it would definitely work. I think we'd have a lot of fun doing as much fourth wall shtick as we possibly could. Keep it referential, and but it would definitely require a little bit of vamping, but could definitely come back, no question.
Yeah, I mean, the closest thing right now, Mark, you and Max do your Boney segments where you have people asking questions and then Boney responds to it. So it can still work. People would be really into it. That's for sure. Now, is it because that now I'm actually curious, are you able to do it because you partially own the rights to it, or you completely own the rights to it?
He
Yeah.
he's pleading the fifth.
Ah, gotcha.
I own everything. Don't you talk to him. It's all about me. He won't even be in the show. It's going to be the Donnyville.
Oh, speaking of which, this is something that Ian brought up that I never even knew. There was apparently there was supposed to be a Dottie spinoff series.
So I remember segment producing, which became part of an episode that we did called DTV.
Right.
It was Dottie had a talk show.
Right.
And we were test running it at the time.
Really?
Yeah. Did they not tell you that?
I did not know about this.
You didn't know about this. I didn't know about this. Wow.
But I knew that the segment we had Calursis Explains It All, which was right next door.
Right.
At the Universal Studios, and they brought them in, put them in they fully Weinerized them,
Right.
and did the talk show.
Right. We did the talk show thing, but they tested it out, did they?
Well, there were rumblings.
The network was talking to me.
You try things.
Yes, we do.
Being tried right now.
All right, now I really have to go. It's for the 60th anniversary party.
Okay, see you in 30 years. But I mean, that stuff is really fascinating to me whenever they pitch ideas for other characters to get the spotlight, because last year I talked about this with Mitch Shower, where they were supposed to do a spin-off of the Angry Beavers focusing on the main character's sisters, and that never got off the ground. So I've always loved, hearing stories about that, where, you have the fan favorite characters and they are beloved so much that we're going to get them their own show. And I always thought that, something like this would have been with either Boney or with Sacco or something like that. But I never knew that, Dottie was pitched at one point. That's actually really interesting.
I think,
To me.
Sorry.
the other stuff that we were trying to do was we were trying to also expand you know, the actual show length, in the thought that maybe we can start to contract the cartoon dependency. And you know, and that's why we brought in Kevin Elman LP. That's why we brought in Professor Phosphate. You know, we started to bring in these new characters and thought, you know, if there's enough going on, then, you know, maybe we can actually go full blast on this thing and really take it.
Full 26 minutes.
That's right.
Now, whose idea was it to implement the cartoons in the first place?
Nickelodeon.
They did it. Wow.
Yeah. They wanted to do a show that showed cartoons, and they wanted someone to fill in the time.
Wrap around.
That's interesting because, I mean, I'm familiar with variety shows, and they would always show like maybe like 1 minute of a cartoon, like with Pee-wee's Playhouse. They would always show like a truncated 7-minute cartoon, and they would play it within like maybe 1 minute or something like that. And I thought, oh, they're just following what the variety show shtick was. But I had no idea that this was nothing to do with you guys. So I thought that was interesting, that it was their idea that they wanted to implement it during the showing. And then I remember you telling me this, Mark, almost 10 years ago, that if you guys had a third season, you would have cut the whole thing all together and you would have just focused specifically on just the show itself.
Right. Yeah.
And then I remember that you were also telling me that you kind of were trying to do an idea that you wanted to do in the form of the 3 specials. So I'd like to know about the makings of those specials, if you don't mind sharing, like the New Year's special, the Hanukkah special, and then the Election Day special.
Well, that came afterwards, you know, after we didn't get picked up anymore, you know, so they gave us those. And Max, what
are you looking at me for?
What are you looking at?
Because you were looking at me. That's why.
I was. Yeah. Because I don't know what to say.
Well,
I mean, like, I'm sure. I'm sure that, you know, having to film all that stuff. I mean, you were no longer.
Wally's leaving.
Wally's leaving. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Wally. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you,
Wally.
Thank you. Bye bye. I'm sure that a lot of work had to be put into those specials because you were no longer in the studio. You guys were like out and about. You guys were in New York City. You guys were, you know, filming in like I assume it probably wasn't a ski lodge, but maybe it was like a place.
It was.
Okay, you did film in a ski lodge. Okay. And then you filmed in various places like around maybe Washington, D.C. So I'm sure that must have been like more work put into it as opposed to just doing it in a set.
Right. So at this point, the writing team was Scott Fellows had taken over.
Okay.
And I think it was Ian. I think it was just Scott.
Oh, it was just Scott. At that point, I had already.
Not even Ray wasn't even. No, Scott is such what, you know, was so, you know, developed into this mega talent, and you know, at Nickelodeon, that, you know, he lasted longer than any of us.
Wow.
Yeah. So he just took it up and ran with it.
At that point, I was already going back into the whole directing end of things and wound up going off into soap operas, and then eventually wound up in sitcoms and wound up with Wavy down the road on Sullivan and Son, which was a wonderful reunion.
Look at that.
So yeah, by that point, I was I wasn't even doing the writing thing anymore.
Right. Yeah, and I can definitely see with the implements that Scott was able to take in later things that he wrote, because Scott did writing for various Fairly Odd Parents live action specials, and there's a character in there called Hugh J. Magnate Jr., who's like one of the villains of the specials, and he's the son of Hugh J. Magnate, which was actually the villain of the Weinerville Election Day special. I'm probably the only person who ever pointed this out because nobody even knew about it when I did my video on it several years ago during the 2020 election. So, yeah, I just thought that was like really interesting about like all the process of it. And, you know, again, you know, all the the accolades you got for those specials. I mean, first Nickelodeon Hanukkah special 1 year before Rugrats did, and also I believe it was like the first New Year's special, because Angry Beavers didn't release theirs until it'll be about 2 years later. And then also there was the election special, which you don't really see election specials very often for kids shows, even to this day. I would know this because I actually did a video a long time ago about Veterans Day, and I was pointing out, like, yeah, you don't really see a lot of, you know, these kind of holiday specials for kids shows. You see, you know, things like Halloween or Christmas or anything like that, but not anything involving with those kind of things. And I just thought, you know, those are things that Weinerville gets my, you know, kudos for doing all those kind of specials, because, you know, there weren't a lot of those out there.
Thank you.
I'm sure for a lot of people, they got introduced to Hanukkah from watching those, watching the special, because, you know, as somebody who's not Jewish, I didn't even know about it until I started watching television shows that talked about it. So that was actually pretty great.
And I don't even think that Davey, you weren't even involved in the specials, were you?
No, when you guys pulled out of Florida, that was, you know, you and I picked up and did those commercials in London, but that was
good times.
Hello.
Very nice.
Yeah, Trebor Mighty Mouse. Oh man.
Yeah.
You did a smashing job there, baby.
Yeah, wonderful job, Dave.
You were a great body to work on.
Yeah.
Davey made this.
Did he make all the puppets?
He made all the puppets, but he made the little French poodle.
And the
oh, that was precious.
Oh my God. So it's who, Napoleon?
Yeah.
And
Josephine. But and Josephine is lying on a couch, you know, with her leg.
It's a
Case lounge. And right in front of him, for her,
oh, you look so sweet. I just want to eat you out.
Is this little French poodle puppet that's just beautiful.
Yeah.
They're on his website if you guys want to see them.
They're on the website.
Nice.
So I missed out on those specials.
Right. Yeah. I understand.
So who took over for you guys was a friend of mine, Jersey Jim. Jersey, we called him Jersey. He was on my live, he was the prop master, puppet builder for my live show.
Not a cousin of Joey Deluxe.
No.
His cousin from Jersey. Jersey Day.
But Patricia, my grandkids are here, and I'm gonna have to jump off in a few minutes.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. If there's any, like, I think we should start wrapping things up because I know everybody's going to be leaving too. So why don't we just, you know, give your final thoughts about the 30th anniversary of Weinerville, which I said before is this Tuesday. So if you guys have any like final memories to share or any final shout outs, then please, you're more than welcome to.
It's hard to appreciate how long 30 years is, that Bill Clinton was president and Beanie Babies had come out and all that.
Yeah.
And I it's always pleased and surprised that people remember that. And it puts me in my place with how old I am. I'm in my mid 60s, but I remember being at a party and chatting up this 30-something-year-old woman and saying, "Oh, you like comedy? I used to write comedy." She goes, "Oh, really? What show?" And she goes, and I go, "Weinerville." And she goes, "Oh, I loved Weinerville when I was a little girl." And it immediately puts you back to how old you are and all that.
That's great.
And Mark is the only comedian I ever wrote for where you tell him a joke and he would go, let me think about that.
Right. Let me see if I can do it. Good. That's good.
There you go.
I'll give you $50 for that joke.
I think it's amazing to think back on that. It certainly made me relook at stuff and absolutely people have mentioned it. It's an aside that I'll do and they'll go, "Oh, really?" And I'll go, "Wow, you remember."
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the rare things too. I was saying this the other night, you know, It's not like I'd go to my accountant and said, remember those taxes you did for me 30 years ago? Let's talk about it. Like, it's one of those rare things that, you know, it's such a life experience for so many people that you don't even realize that you've touched. It's a special thing to be able to have been a participant and part of that whole experience. And
Thank you so much for contributing.
Thank you.
certainly meeting all these people and getting to work with them, and it's that's the other part too. That's the part that the public won't see, is that you actually have these people in your life tangentially and some in other forms. That's the big deal.
Yeah.
Mark, you're a real mensch.
Thank you.
Mark, do you remember? Oh,
No, go ahead, please.
you remember Mark did live shows at the South Street Seaport, which was a nightclub in New York on Sundays for kids. But we didn't make any money because all the money is in drinks and food on the weekends. And then Mark put all the sets in a little attic they had there. And the next day you went in, you might remember, and the sets had collapsed because all the hot glue. The hot glue is not really permanent, it's not supposed to be permanent. And I remember that. Then you had to redo all the sets. We had a lot of fun there at the Seaport.
Yeah. Thank you, Marvin, for all of the great writing that you did for me.
Yes,
Well,
thank
thank
you.
you. I can't seem to remember any of it. I would steal for myself if I did, but
Well,
it
seriously,
was
thank
great.
you.
But
Though.
we were the children of Abbott and Costello. Not that they had any children, and really vaudeville. A lot of it was like loud vaudeville burlesque comedy with very broad characters
Right.
and very strong punchlines. So that's in our DNA.
Yeah. Thank you for creating Boney.
Yes, thank
Oh,
you.
Yeah.
well, I still have a jacket.
Oh wow, that's that's fantastic.
And for everyone else, the jacket's just for sale for
Yes, it is on eBay.
Marvin. You got one for free because you created it. The rest of it, $19.99.
Plus shipping and handling.
$13.50. They're $13.50, right?
Right, $13.50. Right.
That was always the number we had to put it at.
Right,
$13.50.
Yes, $13.50.
David, thank you for making Boney, and Ian, thank you for writing for Boney. And Michael, thank you for writing for Boney, and Lynn for making props for Boney.
So fun. I'll never forget. David, do you remember the first day? I don't remember getting clips, but the first day you came in, Mark, down to the art department, and you just put on a show for us. You opened it up, you did this because we didn't know exactly what it was going to be like, and you showed us the way. And it was so, do you remember that, David? That first day he came in and sort of just like started work the puppet, put the head to the thing, and off we went. And I thought, this is going to be so much fun. And it was just a great experience in the art department. We just had a ball. So thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Art.
Yeah.
Think of all the parents that named their kids Boney.
No, didn't you know it was like in the top 10 most popular names of 1994? Right next to Michael Jordan and Vanilla Ice. Right. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming on to the live stream. A lot of people are giving their thanks as well. I want to especially give my thanks to Mark. Kevin and I interviewed you almost 10 years ago for our blog, and then we interviewed you for our podcast. And you actually gave us some hats, and I'm actually wearing the Weinerville shirt right now. Nice. And I have the poster. It's up on my wall somewhere, but I just want to say thank you for all the creativity that you were able to do with Weinerville. I still enjoy the show, and I'm hoping to see more of it in the future, whatever that you do. So again, and also for Max, I really enjoy your music. I have all your albums on my Bandcamp account.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Nice.
So again,
all the Weinerville stuff.
But we wrote and you built more of the Pops and Louie set. We have a sketch that should be filmed soon.
So. Oh, that sounds great. Fantastic. I'm
It's the
looking
future
forward
of
to watching
Weinerville, if it goes.
All right. Well, I'm really looking forward to it. So again, thank you so much for watching the live stream. I really do appreciate you guys taking the time to come on over. So again, happy 30th anniversary to Weinerville, and we will catch you guys
everybody.
later. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
Thank you, fans.
We love you,
Yeah.
Mark.
All
Bye.
right.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Good to see you
Bye,
all.
everyone. Bye.
See you in 30 more years.
30 more years.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
My
Now
uncle
get
is
out of
ready.
here.
Bye.
Yes.
Now
Oh,
get out of
Get
here.
out of here.
I'm Boney. I'm Boney. Yoloni.
Ah.
All right. There we go.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Mark, for everything.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
Tricia.
All right.
Bye,
Nice to meet
Wavy.
the rest of you. Yeah.
Thank you.